They did not arrest Captain America because he was dangerous. They arrested him because he would not bend. For decades, he stood where others stepped back. Wars ended. Weapons were lowered. Lines were drawn that no one dared cross. Not because he forced them to, but because he believed in something stronger than fear. That belief became the problem. Because what do you do with a man who cannot be threatened, who cannot be bought, who will not obey an order if it feels wrong? The question spread quietly through rooms without windows and meetings without records. What if one day Captain America decided we were the enemy? They ran the simulations. Every outcome ended the same way. So they chose control over trust. They invited him to talk. He came without a shield. The gas filled the room, and the world watched as its moral compass was placed in chains. But here is the real question. What happens when you send a man who lives by rules to a planet that kills anyone who has them? They used to call Captain America the safest man on Earth. Not because he was the strongest or the fastest or the most feared, but because when he stood somewhere, people believed nothing truly bad could happen there. He was a constant in a world that changed too fast. Governments rose and fell. Alliances shifted. Borders moved. But Captain America stayed the same. He showed up when things went wrong, and somehow they went less wrong when he was there. He never claimed power. He never asked permission. He never ruled. And that made him dangerous in a way no weapon ever could. For years, he fought battles no one wanted to admit were happening. He stopped coups before they became headlines. He stood between armies when negotiations failed. He dismantled terror cells not by fear, but by presence. When Captain America walked into a conflict zone, guns lowered. Not because he forced them down, but because everyone knew what he stood for. He believed in rules, even when no one else did. Especially then, that belief spread. Soldiers hesitated before pulling triggers. Commanders reconsidered orders they knew were wrong. Civilians began to ask questions their leaders did not want to answer. And slowly, quietly, the balance shifted. Not toward chaos, but toward something governments could not fully control: conscience. At first, they praised him for it. News channels called him a hero of restraint. World leaders shook his hand in front of cameras and smiled. They thanked him for his service, for his sacrifices, for reminding the world what courage looked like. But behind closed doors, the tone was different. The smiles faded. The questions began. Who gave him this authority? He did not represent any single nation anymore. He did not answer to any council. He did not follow orders that conflicted with his values. And yet his decisions shaped global outcomes. A war delayed because he stood in the way. A weapons deal collapsed because he exposed it. A regime weakened because he refused to support it. One man changing history without being elected, appointed, or controlled. That scared them. Fear does not arrive loudly. It creeps in disguised as reason, as responsibility, as caution. Committees were formed to evaluate enhanced individuals. Reports were written. Scenarios were simulated. In those simulations, Captain America was no longer the man who stopped wars. He was the variable that disrupted them. Every simulation reached the same conclusion. If Captain America decided the world was wrong, there was no force that could stop him without destroying everything he stood for. Militarily, they could overwhelm him eventually. But morally, they would lose instantly. The moment they attacked him, they would prove his point. That was the real danger. Not his strength, but what he represented. He was a standard, and standards make people uncomfortable. So they reframed the problem. This was not about punishment. It was about safety, oversight, balance, accountability. Words that sounded calm, reasonable, necessary. A global agreement was drafted. It did not mention Captain America by name. It did not have to. The Enhanced Oversight Accord passed with overwhelming support. Publicly, it was celebrated as a victory for order. Privately, it was understood as a leash. From now on, no enhanced individual could act without approval. No intervention without consent. No judgment without authorization. Captain America read the document in silence. He understood immediately what it was. Not a request, a test. He had faced worse enemies than this. Aliens, gods, monsters that wanted to tear the world apart. This was different. This was fear wearing the mask of law, and fear was harder to fight because it believed it was right. He did not speak against the accord. He did not rally protests or make speeches. He simply kept doing what he had always done. He showed up when people were in danger. He stepped in when lives were on the line. And every time he did, he broke the new rules. Not out of rebellion, but because he refused to let paperwork decide who deserved to live. That was all they needed. The invitation came weeks later. A formal request for dialogue. A closed summit. Neutral ground. No media. Just discussion. They said they wanted understanding, cooperation, clarity. He knew it was a lie, but he went anyway, because running would prove their fear right. The facility was underground, built to withstand attacks that had never happened and were never meant to. Walls layered with metals he recognized immediately. Energy dampeners hidden behind panels. Air filtration systems designed not to protect, but to contain. Captain America noticed all of it the moment he walked in. He said nothing. They spoke for hours. About responsibility, about consequences, about the burden of power. They asked him hypothetical questions designed to trap him into contradictions. What if saving one group endangered another? What if refusing an order caused greater harm? What if his morals conflicted with the will of the people? He answered calmly, honestly. He told them what he had always believed, that power without conscience was dangerous, that rules mattered, but lives mattered more, that doing nothing could be worse than doing the wrong thing for the right reason. No one argued back. They did not need to. The gas released without warning. Invisible, silent, alien in origin. Captain America felt it before he saw the guards move. His muscles tightened. His breath caught. He reached for his shield out of instinct, then realized it was not there. He had left it outside as a sign of trust. His knees hit the floor. The room erupted into motion. Sealed armor, restraints snapping shut around his wrists and ankles. Energy fields locking him in place. Red lights flared as systems activated that had been waiting for this exact moment. Cameras turned on. Somewhere a switch was flipped, and the world began to watch. They did not show the meeting. They showed the fall. Captain America on his knees, head bowed, struggling to breathe. Not fighting, not shouting, just enduring. That image spread across every screen on the planet within minutes. Some people cried. Some felt relief. Some cheered and called it justice. Most did not know what to feel at all. He looked up once, eyes unfocused but steady, and spoke through the pain. You are making a mistake. No one answered. They called him an ideological threat. Too influential. Too independent. Too dangerous to be allowed free movement. His strength was not the issue. His example was. They could rebuild cities. They could replace weapons. They could not control what he inspired. So they chose removal. The transport capsule was not built like a prison. It was built like a coffin. Layers of shielding, gravity locks, systems designed to suppress, weaken, erase. Not just the body, but the will. As they sealed him inside, Captain America closed his eyes and thought of the people he had saved. Not the battles, not the victories, the faces, the hands he had pulled from rubble, the voices that thanked him without knowing his name. The capsule launched before the debate could change. Earth watched him disappear into the sky and told itself it had done the right thing. They were wrong, because they did not send a weapon away. They sent a man who knew how to stand alone. And wherever they were sending him, that planet was about to learn what happens when principles refuse to die. The capsule did not slow when it reached the edge of known space. There was no ceremony, no final warning, no moment of reflection. 1 second Captain America was still orbiting the world, he had protected for most of his life. The next, space folded inward, and everything he knew vanished behind a wall of light. When he woke, pain was the first thing he understood. Not sharp pain, not the kind that explodes and fades. This was heavy, constant, crushing. It pressed down on his chest and limbs like the planet itself was trying to force him back into the ground. Every breath felt earned. Every movement felt wrong. His body was weak in a way it had never been before. Stripped of enhancement, stripped of balance, stripped of familiarity. The capsule screamed as it tore through an atmosphere that rejected it. Alarms blared in languages he did not recognize. Gravity spiked without warning, slamming him against the restraints. Metal groaned. Systems failed. Then came impact. The crash was violent enough to tear the capsule open like foil. Captain America was thrown clear, rolling across hard, jagged ground that burned his skin through his uniform. He did not scream. There was no air left in his lungs to waste on it. He lay there for a moment, staring up at a sky the color of dried blood. The sun above was wrong. Too dim, too heavy, too close. Its light pressed down instead of warming. He felt it immediately, draining what little strength he had left, pulling something vital out of him with every second of exposure. This world was designed to break what came to it. Not quickly, slowly. Captain America forced himself onto his hands and knees. The ground cracked beneath his palms, brittle and sharp like broken bone. Gravity here was stronger than Earth's. Not by much, but enough to matter when your body was already failing. He tried to stand. His legs buckled. He hit the ground again, breath leaving him in a dry gasp. So this was the plan, not execution. Exile. A place where death was not guaranteed, but survival was unlikely. A planet where violence was constant, where mercy was punished, where anyone who lived too long learned to become something worse just to stay alive. He pushed himself up again. That was when he heard the sound. Low, distant, not wind, not weather. Movement. Heavy, deliberate movement. The kind that knew it was not alone and did not care. Captain America turned slowly, squinting against the red light. Shapes moved along the ridges in the distance. Large, armored, watching. He was not alone. The first creature did not charge. It circled, testing. Its body was massive, layered in natural plating that caught the red sunlight and reflected it like dull metal. Its eyes stayed fixed on him, calculating, patient. This was not a beast driven by hunger alone. This was a predator that understood weakness. Captain America reached for his shield out of instinct. There was nothing there. No weapon, no armor, no advantage. Just a tired body and a lifetime of training that suddenly mattered more than strength ever had. The creature lunged. He moved on reflex, rolling aside just as the ground exploded where he had been standing. The impact sent shards of rock flying. He scrambled to his feet, heart hammering, lungs burning. The creature turned faster than something that size should have been able to. It swung a massive limb, claws tearing through the air where his head had been a moment earlier. Captain America ducked, grabbed a broken piece of stone, and drove it into the creature's eye with everything he had left. The roar that followed shook the ground. Dark fluid sprayed across the cracked earth. The beast stumbled back, blinded on one side, furious. It did not retreat. It charged again, pain ignored, rage taking over. Captain America braced himself, knowing he could not take another hit. The creature leapt and collapsed midair. A spear had punched clean through its skull from behind. The body hit the ground hard, sliding to a stop at Captain America's feet. He stood frozen for a second, chest heaving, trying to understand what had just happened. Then the others emerged. Figures stepped out from behind rocks and ruined metal half buried in the soil. Not monsters, not all of them. Aliens of different sizes and shapes. Scarred, armored in scraps. Weapons held low but ready. Prisoners, survivors, exiles like him, thrown here by a universe that did not know what else to do with them. They studied him in silence. One of them stepped forward, tall and thin, its face hidden behind a cracked visor. "You should be dead," it said flatly. Captain America wiped blood from his mouth. "I have heard that before." A few of them reacted. Not laughter. Something close to it. Something that remembered what laughter used to be. They did not welcome him. They did not threaten him either. They turned and walked away, and after a moment he followed. Because on a planet like this, being alone was a death sentence. Their settlement was hidden in a canyon carved deep into the planet's surface. Wreckage from crashed ships formed walls and shelters. Fires burned with strange light, giving off heat without smoke. Everything here was built for survival, not comfort, not hope. Captain America learned quickly how this place worked. Strength ruled. Killing was currency. Mercy was a liability. The strong took from the weak, and the weak either adapted or disappeared. This planet had been made to teach one lesson over and over until it was carved into bone. He refused to learn it. When fights broke out over food, he stepped between them. When wounded prisoners were left behind, he carried them back. When hunters attacked the outer edges of the settlement, he stood in their way, taking hits meant for others. He never killed, even when killing would have been easier, even when killing would have kept him safer. At first they thought he was stupid. Then they thought he was dangerous. Then they started watching him more closely. Days passed, then weeks. His body changed. Not stronger, not faster, but tougher in the way that only comes from surviving pain without letting it change who you are. Scars layered over scars. Bruises never fully healed. Hunger became familiar. The red sun never let him forget where he was. Word began to spread beyond the canyon. Quiet at first. Whispers traded during raids and hunts. Stories told in low voices around dying fires. There was a man here. No powers. No weapons. No fear. A man who refused to become what this planet demanded. They started calling him something. Not captain. Not soldier. Not hero. They called him the man who still believed. And on a world built to kill belief, that made him the most dangerous thing alive. Belief is never quiet for long. On a planet where survival depended on brutality, the idea that someone could live by rules without dying spread like infection. It moved faster than fear and deeper than violence. Hunters carried the story between territories. Prisoners whispered it in holding pits and fighting grounds. There was a man under the red sun who would not kill. A man who stood back up every time the planet tried to break him. That story reached the ruler. He had no single name. Titles changed depending on who spoke them. Warlord, judge, executioner. He had ruled the planet for centuries by understanding one truth. Hope was more dangerous than force. Force could be crushed. Hope had to be humiliated, broken publicly, turned into a warning. The feeds showed Captain America clearly, bruised, slower than the monsters around him, bleeding more often than anyone else, and still standing at the front of every fight, refusing to cross the line that would make survival easier. That one will cause problems, the ruler said calmly. The problems began immediately. The first traps were subtle. Hunting grounds Captain America used regularly began collapsing without warning. Beasts were driven towards settlements when he was present, not to kill him directly, but to force him to choose who to save. Snipers fired from distances meant to wound, aiming for those near him. The message was simple. Your rules cost lives. Captain America understood it the first time he stepped into a trap and felt the ground give way beneath him. He felt his shoulder shatter when he hit the canyon wall. He felt the heat of energy fire slice across his back as he pulled someone else out of the line. He did not curse. He did not shout. He set his shoulder himself and went back to work. That terrified them. Pain did not slow him. It made him deliberate. Every movement became intentional. Every step calculated. He learned how to use the weight of the broken chains still hanging from his wrists. Learned how to turn the planet's own brutality against itself without becoming part of it. He fought to disable, to disarm, to protect. The settlement changed around him. Fights that once ended in death began ending in restraint. groups that once hunted alone began moving together. People shared food, watched each other's backs, not because they were ordered to, but because they had seen it done. Someone called him captain again, not as rank, as trust. When the hunters came in force, the settlement did not scatter like it used to. They formed lines, improvised defenses. Captain America stood at the front, battered body barely holding together, chains wrapped around his fists. He did not give speeches. He did not need to. He just stayed standing. The hunters retreated. That was when the ruler stopped being patient. The order went out across the planet. Capture him alive if possible. Kill those who followed him if necessary. Make an example. The sky screamed that night. Ships descended through the red clouds, faster and more advanced than anything the prisoners had faced before. Warriors poured out, not beasts, not scavengers. Professionals trained to kill legends. They moved with precision, cutting through defenses, pushing the settlement back toward the canyon walls. Captain America ran toward the sound of screaming. He fought like a man who understood he was not meant to win, only to hold. He blocked strikes meant for others, took blows that would have killed anyone else. He kept moving long after his vision blurred and his legs shook. When he finally fell, it was only because there was no part of him left that could hold him up. They thought he was dead. The fighting stopped long enough for that realization to settle. Prisoners gathered around him in silence. No cheers, no relief, just fear. Because if the man who still believed was gone, then the planet had won. Then he breathed, weak, shallow, alive. They carried him into the deepest part of the canyon, away from the sky, away from the red sun that drained him constantly. For days, he drifted in and out of consciousness. Fever burned through him. His body fought to repair damage it had never been built to handle. During one of those moments, the red light above shifted. Just for a second. Blue. Captain America's eyes snapped open as something surged through him. Not strength, not power, memory. His heartbeat steadied. His breathing eased. Wounds closed just enough to keep him alive. The red sun's grip faltered. Not gone, but weaker. When he woke fully, the settlement stared at him like he had returned from the dead. "You should have broken," someone said quietly. "I know," he replied. That night he spoke to them, not as a commander, not as a hero, as a man who was tired and hurt and still choosing to stand. "This planet runs on fear," he said. "It teaches you that killing is the only way to live. That mercy gets you buried. But fear only works if we keep feeding it. No promises, no plans for escape, just a truth spoken out loud." People stepped forward, one by one, not fighters, not soldiers, believers. High above, the ruler watched the feeds in silence. The red sun fluctuation had not gone unnoticed. Systems older than the prison itself registered instability. Something was changing, not the planet, the people. "He is adapting," one advisor said. "No," the ruler replied, voice hardening. "He is infecting." The decision was made. If belief could not be crushed quietly, it would be destroyed publicly. The ancient machines beneath the planet awakened. Structures long buried began to rise, tearing through stone and metal alike. A massive arena emerged from the surface, built to erase legends. A place where hope was turned into spectacle, and then into ash. The call went out across the planet. Judgment was coming. Captain America felt it before he saw it. A pressure in the air, a shift in the way the red sun flickered above. He knew what this was. He had seen it before in different forms. A system preparing to remind everyone who held power. He stood beneath the bleeding sky, chains heavy around his wrists, body barely healed, and felt something unfamiliar settle into his chest. Calm. Because for the first time since Earth had betrayed him, the choice was clear. This was not about surviving anymore. This was about showing them what survival was supposed to mean. And somewhere beneath the red clouds, the arena finished rising, waiting to decide whether belief would die screaming or walk away undefeated. The arena was older than the prison itself. Its stone was dark, scarred by centuries of blood and impact. Towers rose around it like watching eyes, packed with prisoners, hunters, warlords, and creatures who had come to see one thing: the end of story. The red sun hung low above, flickering like it was struggling to hold its place in the sky. Captain America stepped onto the cracked floor without ceremony. No shield, no armor, just the chains around his wrists and the weight of every choice he had made since arriving on this planet. The noise from the stands rolled over him like a storm. Rage, hunger, excitement. This place fed on it. High above, the ruler appeared on a throne forged from wreckage and bone. Massive, armored, his presence bent the air, pressing down on everyone beneath him. "You have disrupted the balance of this world," the ruler said, his voice echoing through the arena. "You teach weakness. You protect the unworthy." Captain America looked up, eyes steady. This world never had balance. The crowd reacted with a mix of laughter and anger. The ruler's expression hardened. "You will fight," he said. "You will kill. Or everyone who follows you will die." The first gate opened. The challenger charged immediately. A towering creature reinforced with red sun technology, muscles wrapped in armor that glowed faintly under the heavy light. The impact when they met cracked the stone beneath their feet. Captain America moved on instinct and training, every motion precise, conserving energy. He dodged, redirected, used the creature's weight against it. He could have killed it. Instead, he struck nerve points, twisted joints, drove it to the ground, and held it there until it stopped moving. Unconscious, alive. The crowd roared in frustration. The ruler leaned forward. Again, the second challenger was faster, smarter. Blades extended from its arms, slicing through the air with energy that burned on contact. Captain America took the hits. Blood stained the stone. He kept moving, kept choosing restraint over survival. Each round drained him further. His breathing grew ragged. His legs trembled. Between fights, he dropped to one knee, chains clanking against the floor. The red sun dimmed again, just a little. Few noticed. Fewer understood. The ruler did. "Enough," he said. He descended into the arena himself. Silence fell over the stands. This was not spectacle anymore. This was execution. The ruler moved like a mountain. Each step sent cracks racing across the ground. His first strike threw Captain America across the arena, smashing him into a pillar that collapsed under the impact. Pain exploded through his body. He forced himself back up, vision swimming. "Look at you," the ruler mocked. A symbol reduced to flesh. Captain America wiped blood from his mouth. "A symbol does not bleed," he said. "A man does." They clashed again. Captain America used speed he did not know he still had, dodging just enough to survive. He fought with memory and will, not power. Every hit from the ruler felt like it could be the last. Bones cracked. The world narrowed. Then the red sun flickered. Blue light spilled through fractures in the sky like something breaking through from the other side. The crowd gasped. Captain America felt it surge through him. Not overwhelming, not complete, just enough. His breathing steadied. His stance firmed. Pain dulled into focus. The ruler hesitated. That moment was all Captain America needed. He pressed forward, matching the ruler blow for blow, refusing to kill even now. The fight tore the arena apart. Stone shattered. Towers trembled. With a final effort, Captain America drove the ruler into the ground and held him there. Alive, defeated, spared. The arena did not know how to react. Above them, the ancient machines controlling the planet screamed as systems failed. The red sun cracked, its artificial hold weakening. Energy surged through the structure beneath the arena. The ruler laughed even as his armor began to tear apart. "This world will die without me," he snarled. Captain America looked up at the breaking sky. "No," he said, "it will finally live." He released the ruler and ran. He tore through the control spire at the arena's heart, ripping out conduits and cores, forcing the system to shut down. The red light faded as true light poured in. Gravity softened. The pressure that had crushed everyone for centuries lifted. Captain America collapsed to one knee, exhausted, barely conscious. The chains fell from his wrists. The planet did not explode. It changed. Creatures froze in confusion. Hunters lowered their weapons. Prisoners looked up at the sky, seeing something other than red for the first time in their lives. Silence spread across the land. Captain America stood at the highest point of the broken structure, body battered, eyes clear. Below him, thousands waited. Warlords, survivors, monsters, forgotten beings the universe had thrown away. They waited for a command. "This world does not need another ruler," he said. "It needs a choice." He turned away. He left without a throne, without chains, without claiming anything. A ship torn from the ruler's fleet carried him back toward the stars, toward Earth. And somewhere behind him, on a planet that had only ever known fear, people began learning how to choose something else. The return was not gentle. The moment Captain America entered Earth's atmosphere, satellites locked onto him. Emergency protocols activated across the globe. War rooms filled. Screens lit up. Missiles were armed but not launched. No one wanted to be the first to pull the trigger. Not again. He did not evade detection. He did not hide. He flew straight toward the place where the decision had been made. New York. The United Nations Plaza fell silent as he descended from the sky. Soldiers raised weapons with shaking hands. Drones hovered, cameras feeding every second to the world. Civilians stopped where they stood. Traffic froze. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Captain America landed without force, boots touching the ground like any ordinary man stepping off a curb. No shield, no armor. His uniform was torn and faded, marked by scars that did not belong to Earth. He looked older, not weaker, changed. He looked at the building in front of him and felt something he had not expected. Not anger, disappointment. "You were afraid," he said, his voice carrying without effort. "I understand that." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Officials exchanged glances. No one interrupted him. Fear makes people do terrible things while telling themselves they are being responsible. He continued, "You did not arrest me because I broke your laws. You arrested me because I would not break my values." A representative stepped forward, voice unsteady. "You could have destroyed us. You still could." Captain America nodded once. "I could have," he said. "I still can." The silence that followed was heavy, honest. For the first time since the accord passed, no one pretended otherwise. "But I will not," he said. He told them everything. The planet, the prison, the ruler, the people left behind who had been given a choice for the first time in their lives. He spoke about mercy and how it had nearly killed him, how it had saved everyone else. He did not ask for forgiveness. He did not demand justice. "I will not be your weapon," he said. "I will not be your God, and I will not ask permission to do what is right." He took a step back. "If you need me, I will come," he said. "If you fear me, I will keep my distance." Then he rose into the sky and left. No cheers followed, no applause, just silence. Days passed. Disasters happened. An earthquake struck the Pacific Rim. A reactor failure threatened half a city in Europe. A storm formed faster than predictions allowed. People waited. Governments argued. Protocols delayed action. Captain America did not appear, so people moved. Rescue teams coordinated without waiting for orders. Nations shared resources instead of hoarding them. Civilians pulled strangers from wreckage. Doctors worked until they collapsed. Ordinary people did extraordinary things. And when hope was about to break, when the last line began to fail, Captain America showed up. Not above them, with them. Months passed. The world adjusted, slowly, uncomfortably. But it changed. Captain America stopped hovering like a symbol in the sky. He walked streets. He listened. He stepped in when asked and when needed. Not because he was feared, because he was trusted. High above Earth, a faint mark burned in the atmosphere where he had once been taken away. Not a warning, a reminder. A man was exiled. A weapon was expected, but a leader returned. And this time, the world had learned how to stand without kneeling. The world did not become peaceful. That was the lie people liked to tell themselves after Heroes won. Captain America knew better. Peace was not an ending. It was work. Hard, daily, uncomfortable work. And Earth was still learning how to do it. He refused positions. Councils invited him. Governments asked him to lead task forces, defense initiatives, entire alliances. He said no to all of it, not out of pride, but because power changed meaning when it was handed too easily. He had seen a planet ruled by someone who believed control was care. He would not repeat that mistake. Instead, he traveled, not as Captain America the legend, but Steve Rogers the man. He went to refugee camps where people had lost everything and listened more than he spoke. He stood with first responders in cities that had rebuilt and in towns that never would. He trained volunteers, not soldiers, taught them how to protect, how to de-escalate, how to stand between violence and the helpless without becoming violent themselves. Some mocked him. They said the world was too dangerous for ideals, that monsters did not respond to kindness, that fear was necessary. He did not argue. He let results speak. Crime dropped in places where people trusted each other. Conflicts ended when someone stepped forward without a weapon and refused to step back. Not always. Sometimes people died. That never got easier. One night, standing on a quiet bridge after a mission that ended too late, he stared down at the water and wondered if the ruler on the alien planet had been right. If fear really was the only language the universe understood. His hand shook slightly, not from weakness, from memory. A voice broke the silence. You still carry it. When the sky over Earth cracked open, heroes responded instantly. Battles filled the atmosphere. Cities shook. Captain America joined the fight without hesitation. Older now, slower in some ways, stronger in others. He did not lead the charge. He held the line. The enemy spoke through 1,000 voices. You broke the balance. Captain America planted his feet. No, he said, you were never balanced, just afraid. The fight lasted hours. The cost was heavy, but humanity did not wait for him to save them. They fought alongside him, not as followers, as equals. When the threat finally fell back into the void, the sky healed slowly. Smoke drifted. Fires were put out. People emerged from shelters and looked around, expecting a victory speech. Captain America did not give one. He helped lift rubble, carried the injured, sat with the grieving. When dawn broke, he was just another exhausted man watching the sun rise. A child approached him, holding a small handmade shield cut from scrap metal. Are you still Captain America? The child asked. He smiled gently. Sometimes, he said. Who are you the rest of the time? He thought about the prison planet, the arena, the choice that started everything. I am someone who stands up, he said, even when it is hard. The child nodded like that made perfect sense. Years later, when stories were told about him, they did not talk about his strength or his fights. They talked about the day the world tried to control its conscience and failed. About a man who was sent to a planet designed to erase belief and came back with more of it. Not as a king, not as a god, but as proof that even in a universe built on fear, one person choosing to stand could change everything.